Alrighty, hello and welcome to Dingoes Ate My Podcast. I'm Paul.
And I'm Dave.
And this week we are discussing the episode Long Day's Journey. This, excuse me. This episode originally aired January 22nd, 2003, attracting approximately 3.46 million viewers. Alrighty. So, let us start off with... Let's start off with the number one film in America this week, Dave. Any idea what that might be?
Start of the year of 2003. All the things that we had from last year heading into now.
Just as a reminder, last week was Kangaroo Jack.
Yeah. Just those words bring back the vague memory of that thing existing. It's like, yeah, that was a thing. Oh dear God, that was the thing. But sadly, there's nothing else that immediately jumps to mind that would have topped that, which I hope something would.
Well, something did top it, but not a very good thing. So the number one film in America this week is a movie called Darkness Falls, which was a really crappy horror movie.
You know, just kind of decently vague enough to not really give any sort of real point to it away. Because just with that, it's like, there's a ton of different ways you can spin it, but just on top of it, it does not sound interesting.
Yeah, it scored 9% on Rotten Tomatoes. Yeah, so apparently it's a really crappy ghost movie. So probably avoid that one. Anyway, moving on, let's go to the number one song in America this week, Dave. Any idea what that might be?
Again, at the start of that year, nothing is immediately jumping to mind.
I mean, I'll give you a hint. It's been the answer a number of times recently.
I suppose that's not too surprising, though it has been a while since we last chatted, so it's kind of left my mind.
The answer you are searching for is "Lose Yourself" by Eminem. Yes, still on top of the charts. And finally, for video games. Alrighty, so we are on the 22nd to the 20th. Okay. So, not a ton this week.
You know, with everything that came out at the end of last year, just last year in general.
But surprising, even though there's not a lot of games, there's a couple of big ones here. So on January 22nd, the day this episode aired, if you had an Xbox, you could go pick up Dead or Alive Extreme Beach Volleyball.
Because, you know, that was a thing.
It was. I think they only made one of these, didn't they? Or did they make more than one?
So. I think aside from that, they would have just made it as an additional mode inside of any other further release.
I was always kind of like, really, that got its own game, but it sure did. Anyway, moving right along. So that's legitimately a pretty big release because it's a spin-off of a pretty big franchise. January 25th, if you had a PS2, you could pick up this little game called Devil May Cry 2.
Yes.
Are you familiar with Devil May Cry, David?
Well, mostly just the case of I've heard people discuss about it and give the basic idea of it, and it's kind of a case of I'm not surprised that the game turned out that way, but I'm so sad that it did.
Yeah, Devil May Cry 2 is not it's not the best Devil May Cry game.
Yeah, that's kind of the nicest way to put it.
But being a not very good Devil May Cry game is still a pretty good game.
Indeed. You just might have to get used to the amount of edge in it.
I mean, but that's basically every Devil May Cry game.
There are many different edges between the many different Devil May Cries.
This is very true. January 26th, if you had a GameCube or a PS2, you could pick up a game called Black and Bruised, which looks to be kind of like a cartoony boxing game.
Okay. Because on the one hand, I somewhat ringed a bell, but it was kind of the case of, hmm, not sure if I really heard that one.
It looks kind of. You remember when they. I don't know if it was like a remake or if it was like a sequel, but they did like a Punch Out game on the Wii.
Oh, yes, was one of those.
Yeah, graphically, from the cover at least, it looks kind of like that.
Oh no, it's coming back. I remember the advertisements within Nintendo Power magazines.
Okay, I don't remember advertisements for this, but yeah, I mean, it didn't seem like it got amazing reviews, but wasn't terrible either. And finally, also on the 26th, if you had a PS2, you could pick up a game called HSX or Hypersonic Extreme. It was also called G Surfers in some area. Looks like it was like a high speed kind of racing game, like an F-Zero or Wipeout kind of thing.
Okay.
Mixed reviews,
Yeah,
nothing
makes
like
sense.
nothing incredible.
Hmm.
So that is it for video games for this week. But oh my god, do we have some bangers coming up still? Anyway, let's move on to the episode.
Yes, where, oh man, some stuff is happenings.
Yes, some stuff is most definitely happening. Okay. Alright, so we start off with Lauren trying to cheer up Angel, who's making sketches of the Beast and sulking in his room by bringing him a warm glass of Type O blood. How
You know,
thoughtful.
the best way to perk up a vampire when he's in his broody mood.
He probably put a little bit of cinnamon in it to spice it up.
Hmm.
Anyway, meanwhile, Gwen Raiden meets subtle naming meets with her client late at night in a deserted oil pumping station. She tells him that she has decided against accepting his job offer to find some powerful amulets for him, and instead, she is moving to Tahiti to escape the recent apocalyptic events in Los Angeles. Suddenly, the Beast appears behind them and punches his fist through her client's back and out of his chest while knocking Gwen out of the way. When she gets up, she sees the light coming out of her dead client's chest and the Beast pulling out a metal object from his chest before disappearing. Cordelia wakes up after sleeping on the floor of Connor's loft and finds him unable to sleep without her on his bed. She gets a vision of the Beast talking to her but can't remember the words, so she leaves Connor to see Angel. At the Hyperion Hotel, Fred, Gunn, and Wesley are not making any progress ascertaining the Beast's motives and how to kill it. Gunn believes that the little girl in the White Room was referring to Connor with her cryptic message, "The answer is among you," and that Connor is connected somehow to the Beast. Wesley identifies the little girl as Messicatet, I hope I pronounced that right, one of the totems of the mystical order of the Rotet, and that the earthly contingent of Wolfram and Hart are cut off from the senior partners with her gone. Lorne arrives with the news that the Beast recently tore the heart out of a powerful white magic shaman. Fred identifies her as Ma'at, another member of the Rotet. Cordelia arrives and sees Angel to tell him about her recent vision of the Beast. She also tells him to get over the fact that she slept with Connor and to start acting like a leader. Although I think he's pretty reasonable in being a little bit pissed off about that.
Completely understandable.
Yeah.
Better in cases than just bottling it all up, but Cordelia does have a point. There's kind of shit going down, and there's only so far that you can take somewhat big sort of events where there's something much bigger on the line.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Angel assembles his demoralized team in the lobby and gives them a speech about taking the battle to the Beast, which is when Gwen walks in. She tells them about meeting the Beast and how he killed her client. Fred identifies the client from a book as Achette. another member of the Rotet. It's fun how many names they have in this episode. So Angel takes Gwen to Death Valley to search for and protect the fourth totem, Semkahit, a saber-toothed tiger-like being in one of the illustrations of the book. When they arrive at Semkahit's cave, they discover that they are too late and Semkahit has been torn apart by the beast. Manjeet, the last totem of the Rotet, appears as a man dressed in vacation clothes. He tells them that the beast is taking things from each of the totems in order to permanently blot out the sun in the sky, which will bring out all the vampires into the eternal night. Angel convinces Manjeet to come with him so that he can protect him from the beast. Angel and Gwen arrive with Manjeet back at the hotel, where they try to figure out with the rest of the team where to hide him. Gwen volunteers her place, and Angel, Cordelia, Gunn, and Manjeet go with her while Fred and Wesley stay behind with Lauren. Gwen's home turns out to be a lavishly decorated and opulent unit inside of a decrepit building, and she hides Manjeet in her panic room, a steel vault that could only be opened by her touch. Angel mentions to Cordelia that the axis of Pythia, which he borrowed from Gwen to locate Cordelia in her higher plane, was worth $33 million. Gwen and Gunn take the first 4-hour shift guarding the panic room, and Gwen detects from Gunn that he is worried about losing Fred to Wesley. Cordelia and Angel take the next shift. She says to him that now might be a good time to talk about their problems, but Angel refuses while drinking a glass of blood. The next thing he knows, he is being awakened by Gwen. Apparently, both he and Cordelia had fallen asleep during their watch. When they open the vault, they find blood everywhere, and that an orb was taken out of Manjeet's head. Gwen confesses that the beast had also taken something out of her client's chest as well. She finds that security tapes might well have shown what had happened, were erased, and that the system log indicated that the failure occurred 10 minutes before Angel and Cordelia began their watch, suggesting an inside job. When they go back to the hotel, Lauren tells them that the beast is assembling a winged-like object out of the talismans, removed from the totems. Wesley and Fred tell them that opening a portal may be the only way to get rid of the beast. Angel decides to involve Connor, and all of them head out to his loft. Meanwhile, Connor hears a knocking at the door and opens it, only to find the beast standing outside. Well, at least he's polite. Connor attempts to fight him, but he is thrown out through the window and lands in front of Angel's car just as the team arrives. Cordelia stays behind with the injured Connor while Angel and the others rush inside to fight the beast. They burst inside the room just as the beast is reciting a chant in front of the assembled pieces taken from the totems of the Rotet. They manage to toss the beast into a portal opened up by Fred and Wesley. However, it is too late. The sun turns black and darkness descends upon Los Angeles. The beast reappears and calls Angel Angelus before swallowing the orb and disappearing again. Cordelia finally fully remembers her vision and realizes that the beast was talking to Angelus. Angel denies ever having talked to the beast. Wesley tells them that there's only one way to fight back against the beast. They need to bring back Angelus to find out what he knows. So, what do we think of this episode, Dave?
Oh, if blotting out the sun wasn't bad enough, that starts to bring out the idea of bringing Angelus back into the story, which on the one hand, Angelus fun with all of his interesting quirks. And on the other hand, ooh.
Yeah, all those fun Angelus quirks like the torture and murder.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this was quite a. I mean, a lot happens in this episode. Kind of like there's a lot of stuff definitely being set up here.
Mm-hmm. And again, it's a bit of work with specific character development, their thoughts, feelings on particular events that have happened, and concerned of their reactions to it, other particular things from there. On whole, it's a bit of kind of separation, but trying to keep the team together. It's interesting, but depending on how it goes, it's kind of a case of wondering how quick it's going to teeter over into melodrama, or if it's going to somewhat work to kind of build the team stronger than it already is.
Okay, so I'm not going to spoil anything, but I can't wait until you see how this season ends because you're not going to see it coming, and it's going to be so good.
Radios then.
Let's just say, whatever you think the most ridiculous twist is that could happen, this twist will be more ridiculous, but somehow make sense.
Oh, okay. So one of those backhanded slaps of reality that just comes back and it's like, hello.
Yeah, the one thing that the show has basically said would never happen is gonna happen, and it's so good. Anyway, I don't know if you noticed this, but this episode was dedicated to the memory of Glenn Quinn.
Yes.
Do you remember who that was?
Let's see when.
He played Doyle in the first couple of episodes, like the first 10 episodes or whatever.
Okay.
Because he had passed away from, I forget what it was now, but yes, so kind of a sad note for this episode, but let us move on to some international titles. Alrighty, so a lot of them are just like Long Day's Journey, The Long Day's Journey, variations on the English one. However, there are a couple of good ones that aren't. So, in French, it translates as The Race for the Sun. In German, it translates as Fight for the Sun. And in Latin American Spanish, it translates as The Surprise of the Game. I don't know where that title comes from, but I do enjoy it.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Now, if there's nothing else about this episode, next week we'll be discussing a little episode called Awakening. Okay. So after Cordelia's revelation that Angelus and the Beast made a pact, the gang determines that they must turn Angel into Angelus to end the eternal darkness. For that transformation to take place, Angel must lose his soul by experiencing a moment of pure happiness. Dun dun dun.
Yeah. Just kind of with the things going on, that sounds a little tricky.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. Yeah, it'll be fun. It'll be fun. Well, no, it won't. It won't be, but it'll be a good time, kind of. Anyway, until next time, I'm Paul.
And I'm Dave.